Thank you so much for joining us. I'm seeing some more people are trickling on in. So I do want to be mindful and go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our graduate student panel. My name is Shira Zeller. I am the graduate coordinator here for graduate admissions here at FIU. Today, basically, we'll be asking the panelists different questions about their FIU experiences as a graduate student. And at the end of the day, we really hope to give you some insight on what it's like to be a graduate student here at FIU. So like I said, before we go ahead and get started, I want our panelists to go ahead and introduce themselves. So if they want to go around and state their name, the program that they are pursuing or are part of, and just a fun fact to go ahead and get us started. Whoever wants to go first, by the way. Sorry, I should probably clarify that.
My name is Michael Ohene Abwaje. I'm an international student from Ghana in West Africa. I'm a doctoral student in the PhD International Relations with SEPA. I did my undergrad in Ghana in journalism, and I did my master's here in a program called African and African Diaspora Studies, and then the PhD is in International Relations. Here in Miami, I live in Kendall.
Okay, I'll take it away. Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela Smolka. I am a graduate student pursuing my master's degree in higher education. It kind of ties into my role right now. I work in the International Admissions Office. And yeah, that's basically a fun fact about me is I actually graduated from FAU. So now undergrad at FAU, and I'm pursuing a master's at FIU.
I'll go next. My name is Firas Samura. I am a PhD student in the Robert Semple College of Public Health and Social Work, specifically in the Department of Environmental Health Sciences and the concentration of brain behavior in the environment. I came over from the University of Rhode Island as an undergrad, where I'm from originally is Rhode Island. I'm Lebanese American. That's my fun fact, and I speak Arabic and English. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
All right, guys.
Oh,
go ahead.
You can go first.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Carlos Roche. I'm currently pursuing a master's at the College of Engineering for the Engineering Management program. I did my undergrad at FIU pursuing biomedical engineering. And fun fact is that my current role actually kind of reflects a little bit with my master's program. I'm currently working for Amazon in their operations division.
Hey guys, I'm Jessica Gutstein. I'm actually pursuing my master's in business administration at FIU, so Flex Cohort 19. I started my journey trying to become a healthcare professional at FAU, made my way to FIU, and a fun fact is I like to play beach volleyball.
I love this. Thank you all for sharing. We're a very diverse group, which is very suiting for FIU, so I love it. So I guess let's go ahead and start it off. So what do you all think makes FIU unique? I don't know if Carlos or whoever wants to start off first.
Well, I can start.
Or Michael.
So FIU, Florida International University, and for me, our middle name makes us unique. International. And it's not just nominal, you really see it when you're on campus. And one of the things that I was really worried about when I was leaving Ghana for FIU, I was really thinking about how I'll be able to, what's going to be the culture shock, how am I going to, the people that are going to connect with me, how am I going to connect with them? Is it going to be easy? Am I going to have a lot of challenges? And then I get here and then I realize that you find people from almost every walks of life, from almost every culture. So easy, to be part of this community. So for me, I think our middle name makes us so unique. You find people from almost every part of the world in FIU.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with Michael. I think what makes FIU different and what makes FIU stand out is the population, not only reflected by the students, but also the faculty and staff. So having people like Michael who are coming from, different countries different contents, even professors coming from different places kind of really invokes that international aspect and really helps you kind of understand how understanding everyone is at FIU and how welcoming they are to different cultures and different nationalities. And just having that positive environment for support is one of the biggest aspects I think that reflects on FIU's population all around.
I for sure second what Michael was saying, and you too, Carlos, because I work directly with international students. And I think one thing that is talked about a lot is how we want to bring students here from all around the world. And I think having students here from all around the world is one of the main factors that I love to talk about and why that does make us unique. And I think Carlos brought up a good point that also the professors and everyone, some professors are here from across the world because they want to come to FIU, because FIU is worldwide known and we are one of the biggest universities here. So I think especially between the students and the amount of programs, because we have over 200 programs just to offer to students, I think that makes FIU unique and better than any other university.
I want to add on to that. So in my program right now, I actually have so many other classmates that aren't even in America. They're doing the MBA program across the sea, and they're telling me that during class, or it's 2:00 in the morning there. So that just goes to show the international part of my program and every other program is that people are dying to come to our school just to be a part of that.
Yeah, I can definitely second that as well. Something that's very interesting. I did my high school over in Lebanon, and one of the smallest countries in the Middle East. And then I get here, and during my second year, I met somebody in my class who was from the same town, literally like a couple of streets over from where I lived. And we had very mutual friends. So just the fact that FIU really pulls these, different ethnicities in and really diversifies our population here is very unique about our school.
Thank you all for sharing. I think FIU is definitely a melting pot. I think that kind of sums up everything all the panelists were saying. But tying back or kind of going back into a point Michaela was kind of mentioning, what do you think are some deciding, or what were your deciding factors in choosing FIU for a graduate program?
So I can go ahead with and start with this one. Sorry, Michaela. You could actually probably speak to this. I had a bunch of schools lined up as to where I wanted to do my graduate program, a lot closer to home. And I think what really, really drove me to come here was that the recruiting here was amazing. I mean, when I got down here, everybody here really made me feel like I wanted to be here, that they wanted me to be here. They showed me the campus. They showed me where my lab would be, where I would be working all the time, all the professors and collaborators that we would be working with, and really made me feel like I was part of family. So I think that above all else really drove me to move to Miami and FIU.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think the opportunities here in Miami and at FIU are way bigger than a lot of the other universities that are here in the US. And I think that I actually started working first before joining the higher ed program. But I think what drove me specifically to the higher education program is the amount of love and knowledge that people in the higher education program have, especially towards FIU. Like the faculty in this program specifically really love FIU. And I think me falling in love with my position first and then joining the higher education program really grabbed me into wanting to study. And I don't think I'll go into a PhD program, but if I did, it seems like there's a good pathway to do that. So that's basically what drove me to FIU. And it's a way bigger community than what I am experienced to. And I like that there's more opportunities here.
I think that FIU, there's like one word that sticks out to me when I think about why I chose the program I'm in. It's because they're so committed. Like the staff, my teachers, even my classmates, everyone's so committed in you being able to succeed that when I was looking at other schools, I didn't feel that same commitment. They just wanted me to come in, they wanted me to pay my money and just go on with their day. And here they're so supportive, and you can feel that from the start.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that. I think for me, the level of support that I received at FIU for my undergrad was what pushed me to choose FIU for my graduate school, not only from fellow students and professors, but also different faculty and staff outside of my actual program. So, at the different positions I had at FIU, with the different clubs and organizations, that kind of support and community aspect pushed me to kind of pursue my master's program at FIU and receive that same support and positive environment that one needs to succeed.
That is a perfect segue, actually, for the next question I have. Speaking about clubs and organizations, are any of you all a part of any clubs or organizations on campus? If so, which ones?
Yeah, I'm part of AADS Graduate Student Association, African and African Diaspora Student Graduate Student Association.
I'm part of the Environmental Health Student Association, which is a little club that's obviously specific to our department, but it's super helpful in getting to meet a lot of people that were in my department that I wouldn't come across on a daily basis, and increases the amount of opportunities that we have to work outside of FIU as well.
My program has a program called Saga, which I'm not a part of officially, but since everyone else kind of in the program really is involved in it, I am like an associate over there. And I think that that's one of the biggest organizations, I wouldn't say biggest, one of the main reasons why a lot of students from around the world come for our higher education program, because of the Saga program, which introduces you to other students already in the program and issues it's not like speed dating, of course, but you go through each program to each department. Sorry, I keep saying because I'm like trying to think. You go through each department to sit and talk with someone to try and get a job. So think about it, like Michael coming from overseas. The first thing that international students ask about is, how am I going to work? I need a job on campus. So for Saga specifically, this is a way for international students and domestic students to receive a job while being admitted to the program. They can be offered a job and admitted to the program at the same time. So I think the Saga, I honestly don't know what it stands for. I know student something, but it's a really good organization that actually opened my eyes to a lot of different opportunities in the higher education program.
Okay, so kind of speaking of that, I know not everyone went ahead and, oh wait, actually Nanette just went and put in the chat, it stands for Student Affairs Graduate Association. So that is what the acronym stands for. I hate when you have the brain fart and you don't remember the acronyms, because FIU has so many acronyms. So kind of speaking of that and getting involved in class and so on and so forth, do you feel as though the course load, for instance, it greatly differs from undergrad? How do you all balance school if you work full time and your other commitments?
Well, funny enough, in undergrad, I had to do a lot more courses per every term, but the funny thing was that I could even wait till almost the end of the term and cram and still pass my exam. Graduate school doesn't work like that. It starts from day one. You have to read and read and read and read. And so that is the difference. Like the reading is a lot. And some professors, when you see their syllabus, it's crazy, like a lot of reading, like you see the syllabi of some of the professors, you got to do a lot of reading. And so that is the difference. Like the workload is in terms of the reading, but you don't have to take a lot of classes, because I take 3 classes every term. Even now, the stage where I am, I just have to take dissertation credits, so it's not a lot, but the reading is a lot, so that's the difference. And I have, I'm a teaching assistant, and balancing the teaching assistant's duties with the your studies can be very tricky because, sometimes you have to do a lot of grading, and if you're not careful, you'll be putting a lot more effort in your TA shape than the readings that you're supposed to. But the good side of it is that it trains you, because I mean, you're doing a PhD, you probably want to become a professor, and these are the things you'll be doing when you become a professor. So I think it's a good training for those of us who have interest in having a career in academia. So it's not bad, it's good, but it's very challenging, juggling the two.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I can speak on my behalf. I have a full-time job, and balancing, finding that balance between school and work has definitely been one of the biggest challenges of starting a master's program. But for me, something kind of like what Michael said, it's a lot less courses that you're taking at a time. For example, I'm only taking 2 courses at a time right now. And I feel like undergrad really did prepare me. As you get higher and higher in your levels of undergrad, you kind of do start doing more work and start getting more in depth with the material. Graduate school is super in depth material. So it's really things that are very technical. It's a lot of reading. But in my case, a lot of my coursework has a lot in common with the other classes that you're taking. So you can kind of correlate the classes that you're taking together and kind of help you in that sense. So, balancing with work has definitely been a challenge, but the way the programs are designed, at least for engineering management, has helped me bridge those gaps because the classes have so much in common.
Do you want to go, Michaela? Okay. From my experience, I started my undergrad with healthcare administration. The workload was piece of cake. I had no problems cramming it all in one night on Sunday. But now I literally do 16 to 20 hours worth of homework every week, just doing accounting. So I had to cut back my hours on work because I would have not been able to handle both. It's just the balance was not there. And so many people in my program agree with that.
I think for undergrad, it was a lot of almost busy work, especially at FAU. I think my last semester I did 18 credits. So it was like 5 classes, and it seemed just like busy work. Here with the graduate program, like Michael said, it's so much reading. But the interesting part is it's things that you want to read. I feel like for undergrad, we were put into a program, we chose that program, and you're reading about rhetoric or whatever you're reading about, and it's like super hard to like understand everything. But for this program, we chose this specific program. I mean, we did for undergrad too, but for grad, it's more of specific what you want to do in your career. So I think it makes it more intriguing, the material that we are reading. And like Carlos said, the classes do go hand in hand, especially for higher ed. Like if we're learning one thing in legal issues, maybe in leadership, higher ed, we're learning a little bit of the same thing. So it's just a lot of reading. So that's I agree with that.
I definitely can attest as a graduate student as well, all of what you all had just said, but I thoroughly do enjoy my readings now a lot more, and I can actually see it come to life. So it's pretty interesting. So speaking of that, what do you all wish you had done to prepare for grad school?
In my case, it was really having considered doing a full-time job and enrolling in the master's program. I think I didn't take into account how much time work would take and how much time I would need to dedicate to school. So definitely, weighing out your options and seeing, is the workload for my specific program, too much to handle based on the amount of time I'm going to be working? Or is there a specific balance that I can meet working with school and working with FIU, choosing how many classes I have to take and how long my program is going to be? So definitely, I wish I would have considered that. Not that I regret it to this day. I did find a healthy balance between the two, so it is possible. But definitely, I think that's one of the biggest considerations when going into the master's program.
I second everything Carlos said because I'm also full-time, and I think that was a huge factor that I had to consider. And especially with international missions, there's not much downtime, so it's not like I can pick up my book and read or do an assignment. I will try to, maybe if I could, but there's not that much downtime. It's super fast paced. So being part-time student, it still seems like a lot of work, but I balance it out. I figure it out and do what I got to do.
Yeah, I can't say that I have the troubles of a full-time job. I mean, I'm a full-time lab worker. I'm on a GA ship here. So, those could be anywhere from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. or whatever the hours might be every day, depending. I guess if I had prepared a little better in understanding what it means to be a PhD student, like what the D1, D2, all the way through, Michael, I know you're a lot farther than I am. But, because there's a lot more responsibility that you take on as a PhD student that you have to do your own. I came in directly from the undergrad where, shameless to say, there's a lot of hand-holding. Your advisor pulls you through, says, hey, you're not signed up for X, Y, and Z. Make sure you get into that and all that stuff. Here, while there is the advising here and the mentoring, a lot more is on you. So I wish I had understood that a little bit better, but everything's on the right track now, thankfully.
So that actually brings me to a good question, because you're talking about working in the field that you're studying. So can you all maybe elaborate a little bit more if you are working in your field of study, and do you feel that your current FIU education or previous education, FIU education, is helping or has prepared you?
I'll go ahead and start that question off. So right now I'm not working full time in my field, but I have started in my field already throughout undergrad, and I started in my master's, but I had to drop the hours with that. But for sure, my education helped me succeed in my field. If I didn't know about emotional intelligence, if I didn't know how to handle certain like operations at an office or any administrative or even billing and finances, I would have not been able to succeed in an authorizations job, which is what I did for insurance for a healthcare facility. So.
I think with me, it's actually interesting. Mine would kind of be the opposite, that I'm learning stuff in my graduate program for work, which they go hand in hand because I'm learning in the higher education program. But some things that we're learning in the class, I'll tell my colleagues and I'll tell them how exciting and cool it is. Like specific things, almost as when international students maybe weren't going to be able to study here in the US last semester. That took a huge toll on our job, but we were also learning about it in higher ed and like how we can change it, or how the things that we're learning about it. So I think a lot of the information that I learned in the program, I do put towards work, talking about accreditations of school, or there's a lot of things that are going through my head, but I like specifically that my role has a big part of the program that I'm in, and it's super, super, super informational and intriguing every day.
Yeah, I think that's the most exciting part about my experience with the program, is being able to apply what you're learning in class to your actual role. Like I mentioned, I'm working for Amazon Operations, and this semester, the two classes that I'm taking is operations management and project management. And I apply to work almost every single day, and sometimes I learn things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can go back to Amazon and implement this or make this better or improve this system or improve on there. And it's really exciting to be able to kind of apply what you're learning, and it makes you come back and sit down and read your book, read that next chapter and get ahead. Because for me, it's the best part about the program, being able to apply what you're doing on a school note to what you're doing professionally in your work setting.
So speaking, I know you guys were talking about things like readings and whatnot. I mean, has there been a favorite class that you've taken so far in your master's or doctoral program?
Yes, my first term in the master's program, I took a class called AADS theory. And so it's a theory that talks about the Black experience talks about Blackness. So coming from Africa and having taken some courses in African studies, I thought I knew everything. And then I sit in this class and I'm just completely like so challenged. I could not even figure out what they were talking about. Because a lot of it was about the African Americans' experience. And I saw how the education back home did not prepare me to understand this experience. Back home we talk about Africa, but it's Africa on the continent, continental Africa. And so we don't look at Africa beyond the continent to talk about Africa in the diaspora, African Americans, Africans in the Caribbean, or Blacks in the Caribbean. So I was so challenged, and but then it was an eye opener. It's made me, understand the African Americans' experiences better, because in the past, sometimes when I would hear them, like African Americans, talk about things that they don't consider to be fair, back home we have different upbringing. When you see those challenges, you rather see opportunities to work hard and achieve something. So sometimes I'll think, oh, they just want to talk, complain. And then I get in here and then I understand their realities. Now, look, there are differences in our realities, Yeah, all of us went through some form of discrimination, colonialism, slavery, but their experiences quite different from our experiences. So for me, it's been very helpful for me to bridge that gap, that I didn't know, I didn't have that knowledge. Even though it was very challenging when I started the class, it was intellectually very, very fulfilling, and now I understand, when we talk about Black experience, African experience, the African diaspora. And so I was very happy that I had that class. It was intellectually fulfilling.
Well, I can't top that, but I'll try. I can't. Michael, that was great and really, really intriguing, honestly. I think the stuff that you are learning is super important for not only people to learn in that program, but we all should be learning that stuff. And that's what I do like about the higher education program, that the things that we do learn every day should be taught to other people. That's why I tell people my knowledge. Okay, let me go back. I think my favorite class, this is only my second semester, but I'm in a class called Leadership in Higher Education right now. And I think the facts and information that I'm learning is really important for my role, especially if I do want to become a leader of my office or a different office in one day. So yeah, I don't have much because I'm not as far as everyone else, but that's my 2 cents.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so my first class I took starting my program, it was called Organizational Behavior. And, when you're working with people, I don't think you at first realize that everyone has their own emotions going on inside of them. So whatever you're feeling, you forget that everyone else is feeling something completely different. And in this class, I learned that if you just pay attention to how people are talking to you, how they're walking around the office, just like in general, you kind of see why people are acting not the way they're acting. And it kind of makes you be able to influence people and kind of rise up and help everyone come together. And that's like a big issue in most organizations, is that people don't know how to come together and thrive. They don't know how to make a consistent flow in an office setting or in any type of work setting. So in that class, I really learned how to kind of have like a deeper understanding of not just like how you're trying to better yourself in your work setting, but how to be better for other people and bring them up with you. So that's not super anything crazy, but it was something I liked.
I'm going to have to say that my favorite class was called Methods of Evidence-Based Public Health. It's a public health core course, so if you do the PhD here at Public Health, you'll have to take that course. And it really opened my eyes and showcased a lot of different types of research that we do here at Stemple. So for example, I do a lot of wet lab research. When you think scientists and think of the people that play with mice, that's literally what we do. And so we do a lot of that in-lab stuff, but Stemple's known for community engagement. And to say community engagement happens here is a literal understatement. So I got to see a lot of what we do here with the community, with our partners outside, the collaborations that we have, and really the intense and innovative science and leadership that we have here at FIU just through that one class.
So in terms of research, then I kind of want to ask a little bit of questions about research because I know that's a very big component in a graduate degree. So what does research look like in your field? So for instance, is it required for you to work with faculty in a lab setting? Are you seeking opportunities outside of your program? Are you doing your own individual research? So yeah, so whoever cares to answer.
Well, maybe I'll use my research that I'm doing to answer this question. So in my PhD, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the regional response to Boko Haram. So Boko Haram is a terrorist organization in Nigeria, which has crossed the borders of Nigeria to neighboring countries. And so now I'm not looking at Boko Haram as a domestic phenomenon, but as a regional phenomenon within the region. How are the affected countries collaborating to fight Boko Haram? And so what I would be expected to do, if I could, actually to get into the field and interview some of these military officers who are involved with the day-to-day planning of the whole organization of the fight against Boko Haram, like if I can. But now think about COVID. You can't travel, because of COVID-19. It's difficult to travel. There are restrictions. Also, the research setting is a very risky place. How many people really would want to go to a place where you have these things going on? So in the absence of that, I do a lot of library research. I do a lot of, you have to read scholarly works, other scholarly works. You have to, for instance, look at newspapers. What are they reporting? You have to, for instance, if you can, maybe I can do some interviews on Zoom. I have to look at think tanks that, some security experts who write about the security situation in the region. I can read their reports, so stuff like that. But because of the challenges of COVID-19, I may not be able to do field research, which in our field, we usually do. You get to the field and then you can observe, you can interview people, but then I may be able to do an interview, and I may be able to interview some of these officers on Zoom, but a lot of it will be library research. I read the works on the security situation, and then synthesize them and make some arguments and stuff like that.
So my research is a lot different, which is really interesting to hear about yours, Michael. But ours is, so I guess I'll describe my topic too. So I look at the associations of environmental factors such as pesticides and heavy metals to Alzheimer's disease. And we do that in a lab. So I use in vitro modeling or in vivo techniques to really explore this. In vitro meaning in cell culture. So we grow neurons and different types of cells, astrocytes, microglia, that we can model Alzheimer's disease in a dish and really try to see what these environmental factors are doing to that pathology. We also do in vivo work where we look at Alzheimer's disease in mice and rats and also explore these factors. So it's very important to make sure that you get your hours in, because a lot of these things require troubleshooting and knowing how to do this while you do work with faculty, and that is definitely required. you also have to learn these skills and be able to replicate your experiments and do everything on your own. Also, on top of all this, understand the public health setting and why we do what we do. It's really easy to get lost in your own work and say like, okay, this is what I found, this is everything, but you have to bring it back and talk real world, big picture, and what your work really means. And if you can do that, then, you know, your research is very meaningful and, you know, it'll drive you forward. So.
Alrighty, so we can move along to the next question. Actually, funny enough, speaking of research, I know for my program, I'm actually studying communications. What I'll be focusing my thesis capstone project. I'm going to be talking more and discussing and researching about Holocaust distortion via social media and the implications of that and how that affects Jewish education overall. So you can see there's lots of different research topics that we're all focusing on, but at the end of the day, that's going to enhance our overall field that we will be participating in, which I think is amazing. I loved hearing the research both Michael and Prosser have been working on. It's been really nice.
I suppose you do archival research, right?
Say that again, I'm so sorry.
I suppose you do archival research for your.
Yeah, so there's different ways that we can do it. I haven't reached that far yet in my program, but I have my topics solidified. I know there's probably going to be focus groups. I've been in contact with the Holocaust Memorial Museum, so on and so forth. But I have time. So I do want to go ahead and talk about funding. Funding is probably one of the biggest questions we get, at least on our end, as far as in admissions. So I want to know a little bit more about how you are able to fund your graduate education. You know, is it through financial aid, assistantships, so on and so forth?
Well, assistantship is it's been very, very helpful. Honestly, I look on my I-20 and I think everything comes up to 50K a year. I don't know how I would have been able to raise that money. Assistantship, and I am so grateful to FIU for this great opportunity to my department, because I wouldn't have been able to do this PhD without this without the assistantship. It's been very helpful. It's brought me this far.
So I get my funding through a GA-ship, so another assistantship. I believe, Michael, yours is a teaching assistantship, right? You are TA.
Yeah, teaching assistantship.
Okay. I'm a graduate assistant, so a little different, kind of the same thing at the end of the day, where it really funds Michael really hit the nail on the head there. If I look, I don't want to look at it. You know, you said 50K. I don't even want to know. I've been here for this long, and I hope to continue at this pace. And I like what I'm paying now. But basically, everyone in our college, we're a smaller college, but everyone in our college receives some kind of assistance. And we're striving to hit that 100% mark where everyone is getting some form of assistance, whether you're a GA, or you're on the CV Star Scholarship, or you're securing funding from outside the university. We send out emails every week with different funding opportunities, and how to really secure that for your work here at FIU.
I think that's one of the, just talking about FIU in general, that's one of the main things that we try to talk about is fellowships, assistantships for especially international students, because it is $50,000, especially that they have to prove to come study here in the US. For me specifically, luckily I am fully funded because I'm a full-time employee at FIU, so I don't pay anything for my program unless it's an orientation fee or something like that. But if you are interested in FIU, definitely look into a graduate assistantship or a teaching assistantship, because it really, really does help.
So for me, I guess I really fell back on having that full-time job to be able to pay for the tuition for the master's program, but really relying on the financial aid department at FIU to see if there's any types of payment plans that you can sign up for and kind of divide that tuition between 3 different payments throughout the semester. So really working with that department and see the different options we have if you are paying out of pocket.
Yeah, same for me. So I'm kind of doing like self-pay and then like loans on the side. So it's kind of a mixture and I'm figuring out every semester as I go. But um it's been fine. I haven't had any problems. Like I think I've had more problems in undergrad figuring out assistance than I have in like graduate school. So
Yeah, that's one thing I definitely want to emphasize is that there's a lot of different funding opportunities for FIU graduate students. Obviously, you have to do a little bit of research to see what you qualify for and can apply for, but there definitely are a ton. Like we don't want you to have that financial burden. We want you to pursue your higher education. Another question that I tend to get a lot is about housing for grad students. That's like the it question. Can you all maybe discuss a little bit about your housing situation? I know we have a couple of international students, so I'd be really curious to hear a little bit as far as how that goes.
Well, so I was very lucky when I got the admission at FIU. The graduate program director decided to put me in contact with some Ghanaian students at FIU. So I started talking to them, and then I told them, well, the next now admission is done with. Now the next thing on my table is to get a place to live when I get in. And they were like, okay, don't worry. We know a Ghanaian professor who has a space in his apartment. We're gonna put you in contact with him, and then you talk to him about it. So they did that. I talked to him, and then he was happy to have me over here. He's like, don't worry, I have a space. You can just rent the place, and I've been here since then. Everything is such a convenient arrangement, and I haven't had any issues. I'm good.
Yeah, I'll definitely say coming from outside of Florida is really interesting, especially outside of Miami. So I live not too far from the university. I have my own apartment. Um, it's possible to pay for your own apartment in Miami. It's not an efficiency, but it is possible to live here comfortably on a student salary. Um, but really kind of like how Michael's saying, I went out in my second year and found a roommate, and life is that much more comfortable for the financial you know burden taken off my shoulders. So I guess um, I don't know. If I were to give advice for moving to Miami, I would say definitely start looking like 3 months ahead of time, just because the association stuff that happens down here, which doesn't happen anywhere else in the United States. But yeah, just you know, that just be early. Just be early is my advice there.
Yeah, so I had the privilege of being from Miami, so I had the opportunity to live at home and didn't have to worry about the housing situation. But definitely, I've encountered during my time at FIU, both undergrad and graduate, massive amounts of students who come to FIU to study, and the housing opportunities are just everywhere. So there's definitely different opportunities to either live right across the street from campus. I know there's a couple of different apartment buildings that students tend to live at. There's different opportunities on campus, and then like Frost said, if you look for roommates, there's definitely other students either in your program or just a graduate student at FIU that are potentially looking for roommates. So using those social media outlets to kind of find those people is definitely the best option, and then that'll also help you networking and also meeting new people if you're coming to FIU from a different place. So that'll definitely help you grow your social circle.
yeah, so when I was in my undergrad for FIU, I actually lived in one of the apartments near the campus, and I actually found some of my really good friends by doing like this thing on Facebook. It's an FIU chat, and you just kind of comment that you need a roommate, and a ton of people start commenting the same thing, and so you kind of meet people through there. But for my graduate school after the pandemic, I just decided to move home because Broward is really close to Miami, so it wasn't that big of a difference.
Alrighty, since we have maybe about 11 minutes left till our session ends, I think I'm going to ask maybe about one more question and then leave the floor open if any of the participants have any questions for the panelists. So I guess my final question is, think I'm going to combine two just to make it a fancy one. How do you think FIU has changed you as a person? And because of that, what advice would you give to prospective graduate students?
I love that question. That was so cute and nice.
Thank you.
I'm touched. So I think as a person, I graduated from college, like undergrad in 2018. And it's so funny because you think that you're a mature adult when you graduate college. You're like, yeah. And then you start your full-time job and you're like crying every day because you're overwhelmed and it's hard and the boss is mean and things like that. So I think graduating and then starting a new job and getting older and seeing other people going through experiences and us even going through experiences, I mean, with the government and everything going around this pandemic. I think even through this pandemic, I've grown as a person thinking that we are great. We should be grateful for the life that we do have and that we should be happy for things we have in our lives. And I think just FIU in general has shaped me into the woman I am today, even though my graduate program's not done yet. Hopefully it will be soon. I think FIU in general has just transformed me into a better version of myself than I was when I first started. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say 100% that the whole woman thing, you know, I definitely feel a lot more encouraging. I honestly, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but when you go through a pandemic and then you're in a graduate program, you're really proud of yourself because that was emotionally terrifying what happened. So I'm just really proud of myself, and I've helped a lot of my friends get into programs and deciding what they wanted to do. And all I can say is I've become a lot more encouraging because if I can do it, then like anyone else can do it too. And you feel better that you're accomplishing stuff when the world's kind of just going through such chaos that you're succeeding in that. So it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You guys both hit the nail on the head with that one too. I can agree almost 100%. I can't say the woman thing, but I will say that it has really shaped me, and support to you guys, and absolutely keep killing it during the pandemic and everything. Do outstanding things with your careers. I guess like time management. If I'm to pick one quality out of all of them, it was time management. Um, I mean, Michaela said it. I had a job during undergrad, and then I finished undergrad and went straight to my PhD. And I thought that I knew what that meant, time management, and then I got here and not. Yeah, it was very, very, very different. And understanding how much time you need to allocate into certain things, and to not be lazy, and to really, drive yourself towards that. I look at myself 2 years ago, and I'm a completely different person, while still keeping some of the social tendencies. People will tell you all the time that like you go to grad school and you have no friends. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard. Like, it's not true. I mean, I'm having a great time. I'm learning amazing things. And this is definitely an experience that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
And to add to that, I think one thing that FIU has really, contributed to who I am today or changed me as a person is the fact that it's given me the opportunity to really understand different cultures. So I meet people from Haiti, I meet people from Latin America, I meet people from almost every continent, and getting to understand these different cultures means a lot, especially for what I'm doing, international relations. I do not think there is any better place to do international relations than the school whose middle name is really international. So, I mean, getting to understand all these different cultures, people from different cultures is one very important thing. Something I did not, is a skill that I didn't have before. Also, one thing I want to add, I think FIU really does well in organizing events that events that bring people from the industry to engage with students on campus. And I would tell incoming students they should take advantage of that. It's really good. It changed my orientation, that education is not just a book, but also having that opportunity to engage with people from the industry prepares you really, really well to exit and get into the industry and start working. So for me, that thing about FIU is really fantastic. It's changed my orientation completely. Incoming students should take advantage of that. Sometimes there is a temptation to just stick to the books, thinking that it's all about books. Graduate school is just about books. No, all these events that FIU organizes, take advantage of them. It does something really good to you.
Yeah, I think FIU has really great potential in impacting its students beyond the educational realm. I think after going to FIU, I've become a better leader, I've become a better mentor, I've become a better mentee, I've become a better person overall, and it really encompasses what everyone has been talking about. It's all these experiences on campus that extend beyond the textbook, that kind of immerse you into this international society that gives you a deeper understanding of everything that's going on, where you can still tie back your education in that sense and what you're learning in the classroom. It really, really does kind of bring that educational aspect the university is supposed to give and push it beyond what you're thinking you're going to receive, and you receive just so much more. The people that you meet, the experience that you gain at FIU have definitely made me a bigger person than what I was when I started undergrad or even my graduate program. Like the ladies were saying, when you start a graduate program in the middle of a pandemic, you're a little bit lost. You don't know what's up. You don't know what's going on. And the graduate program at FIU and the support that you get from the faculty and staff really give you that purpose of what you want to do, and kind of focus your attention on everything that you're passionate about. So I think if I need to give any advice for any students coming into FIU, is to deep dive into everything beyond the textbook. If you're interested in specific clubs, go join it. If you like community service, join community service organizations, kind of get involved in all these events that FIU has, because they definitely have a ton of them. So yeah.
Yeah, Carlos, you put it so well. Fantastic.
He did put it very well. You all put it very, very well. I feel very motivated now. Let me go apply for another graduate program. No, I'm kidding. All jokes aside. Thank you so much, panelists. This has been amazing. I'm going to open up the floor. Maybe if there's one or two quick questions, if any students have to answer, just because we're running short on time. You can unmute yourselves, or you can put it via the chat and I can ask them out loud. So yeah, so feel free to ask.
I was gonna say, Michael, you need to tell your brothers and sisters and family and friends and everyone to apply to FIU from Ghana.
Oh yeah, I've started already. I've been helping a lot to get in.
Good.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people with your same last name, so let's hope.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty, guys, I'm seeing the suspense. There's no questions, but it's okay. Don't worry. I know they said so much good information. It was hard to think of any questions after all that. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our graduate school fair. It was a little bit different because it was all virtual, but I hope you learned something and hopefully apply and come to FIU. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We are here for you. Good luck, stay safe, and have a great day. Also, Nanette just put our email there. It's gradadm@fiu.edu. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shira, for the opportunity. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Shira. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.